Hello, my name is Joanna Tan Cho and I am a board-certified music therapist. In a previous video, I shared with us my experiences watching a stomp dance demonstration at the Chickasaw Cultural Center in Oklahoma. And in today's video, I'm zooming in just to look at the musical instruments that are used in stomp dancing. And so take a look at a short clip where you'll see stomp dancers and the instruments that they are using. So I've learned that there are 3 types of shell shakers, and these are made of turtle shells. They are also made of deer toes, and finally of tin cans. And in each of these, they are filled with river rocks that will produce that shaker sound. Now in the video, you would have seen that these shakers were tied onto the legs of some of the female dancers. And so each dancer that was using a shaker had 2 or a pair of shakers, and you would have seen the traditional kinds of shakers in that video, so the turtle shells as well as the deer toes, but not the tin cans. And I've learned that for the deer toes, there would be up to 250 toes per side of shaker. And so that's incredible, because somebody who's dancing, and you would have seen that, you know, they're just moving along and they might be carrying up to 500 deer toes on them. As for the turtle shells, there would be about 6 to 12 on one of them. And as I learned more about the creation and assembly of these instruments, I was very much intrigued and inspired by the thoughtfulness and even the respect that went into the use and assembly of these instruments. So for the turtle shell shakers, one would place the shells on an anthill to help hollow them out, and holes would then be carefully drilled over the tops of the shells and then filled with river rocks to make the sounds. And I read that the use of deer toes and turtle shell shakers, either of which were all used respectfully and with gratitude to the animal world for providing many good things for people. And I think that that is just so special as we think about the origins of our instruments. And even with, you know, modern day access to some of these materials that we have, we can think about the first instruments that we ever had, whether they were woodwind instruments, whether they were, you know, string instruments. And I hope that seeing some of these and watching them being used in cultural dances just helps us think about where our instruments have come from and the materials that we use, and also how these instruments have evolved over time. So nowadays, it has been harder to get access to some of these shell shakers and deer toes, but there are tin cans which are easily available from grocery stores. You can recycle these. A dancer could have between 4 to 36 cans on each leg, and just like the turtle shells, they are filled with river rocks. And so I think it's just so amazing to think about, you know, how instruments have been used to provide rhythm, and how with all of these musical traditions, it's not just for a show or a performance, but it also has social purposes and ceremonial purposes within culture. And then to think about where we get these instruments from, the origins and sources of what we're using in our music. And so I hope that this inspires us to think a little bit more about the instruments around us, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you for joining me.